Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Deep Hive as it is new Deep Delve variant, as well as its new troop and a bunch of teams for it. Before we do get into that, one thing to mention is the mythic from the previous campaign is now in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest drop table. Before it was blocked by the Succubus Queen, of course, which has been available for the last week, but now is not available. Now all the mythics are available, well, all the ones that are normally in drop table, and that does include the previous faction mythic. Keep in mind, if you do open any keys for it, the chance of getting specifically him is pretty low. However, it is now possible to get it, though if you're really looking for it, you'd still want to wait until you can event key for it on the next time his Kingdom roll around, or wait until he rotates around in Soulforge, as trying for keys right now is pretty slim, though not impossible. Anyways, as far as the Deep Delve is concerned, it is a green-brown faction associated to that of Drifting Sands. It now has a brand new layout that we can end up seeing right over here. And basic premise of this new layout is go just rush the top half as you get higher multiplier, and then there are 3 guaranteed treasure rooms, the one all the way in this little corner, and then 2 right over here that block off this other room. I'm not sure if we've ever had a layout like this before, but it is actually impossible to grab all of the non-treasure rooms in this place before you take this room right over here. The reason for this, if we go check the other place, we might be able to see it a little bit better because the other one kind of blocks it with a chest. If we go over to this area right here, we can see that this is a guaranteed treasure room, this is a guaranteed treasure room, and that this is a guaranteed treasure room. The most noteworthy thing about this is not a treasure room. And it is actually impossible to get to that room without first taking a treasure room. So you're pretty much always just going to go multiplier order. You're just going to go straight rush to higher multipliers that are all the way up here, take all the bigger ones over here, and then just go through the rest. So it's basically just take the top and go in multiplier order is the way that this delve is generally going to be, as it is physically impossible to take the treasure rooms last due to its overall layout. But if you did want to take it as last as possible, you would take this one, the tier 5, go into this one, then you can grab that, and then take your other 2 treasure rooms. But you'll be forced to have to take at least one of these 2, likely being this middle one right over here. But do be wary of that if you're going for it. As far as the normal layout, actually I don't have one set up real quick, but we could just go lose this, because I normally don't even bother with these. That's one weird thing about the deep delves too. I really wish they would have upgraded the loot from these things, because I would run it as a daily if they did, but it's almost no point in ever going for these. Of course, if you ever want to go for the deep delve variant on it, it's mostly relevant for Tuesday and weekend events like right now. But you can spend double your sigils to get it, but it's really not worth it for what you ultimately end up getting from it. But here we can see the normal layout. Normal layout's pretty straightforward. You just go and take multiplier order. The only really noteworthy thing about it is the very top right room, the one right over here, is a guaranteed treasure room. So that's the only guaranteed one, only one compared to the other one that has 3 guaranteed rooms. However, you just go around basically same kind of order, just take out all the multipliers, and then take this one absolutely last if you want to maximize on loot, and just go forward as you normally would. As far as the new troop, of course, we did end up getting one. It's okay. The biggest issue with this is it's not as tanky as its already existing counterpart within the faction. So if we go look at this guy, you can get him for 210 gems. Keep in mind, it is currently not possible to get him through portals. It will be in about by the time the next event rolls around, so the next faction event. However, in the current state of the game, you cannot get this with your chaos shards, so don't try. The only way you can currently get it for pretty much the next month is to spend 200 gems on it this weekend. 210 gems buying these first 3 tiers will end up giving you 1 copy of this troop. Ends up dealing some true damage to the first enemy, and then it has an independent 25% chance to, boosted by brown gems, to gain an extra turn and or gain half of its mana back. The most noteworthy thing it has is impervious and armored, but it isn't as good compared to if we go check out the other troops. So if we go over to the Deep Hive, one big issue with this that actually won't make it the tank for the place, there's 2 things that go with it. For one, the already existing tank actually is a bit better than it. Not only does it gain barrier and a little bit of durability, unfortunately no attack, while still having all that extra turn and boost ratio and everything, but it has 50% score reduction. Basically double compared to the other guy's 25%. And yes, he doesn't have impervious. However, your team when you're running pure faction is likely going to be 3 Beatrixes behind it. And Beatrix already has cleanse on extra turn. And even if one of them gets stunned, you have 3 on your team, so you'll pretty much be good to go. So there really isn't much of a need to have impervious on this guy. Obviously, you'd still want to trade him to that, but like you don't need to use him. You can just end up using the previous tank. So this guy doesn't really serve a role. So unfortunately, similar to many of these new deep delve troops, it doesn't really have much of a use case. Since we're over here, let's start getting into all the teams. This is a brown-green restriction, though of course, as per usual, you're allowed to use any colored weapon still in the current state of the game. For our first team here, we have a pretty standard Rowanne, when you can't use Rowanne kind of build, even though we can use Rowanne, but this is the Gaard's avatar version of it. Simply using Leprechaun to get everything going, Gaard's avatar with the armor boost ratio to kill everything out, and of course Quet and Hadley for the 50% mana start and the finisher on his ability. Then we have the Rowanne build, just switching it out a little bit. You can run any hero weapon here that doesn't block Rowanne. Here we just went with Dancing Daggers, but you can go whatever you want. Here we have an Angry Mob for mana accumulation. Once again, this can be replaced out for anything else that's underneath the brown or green category, as long as it's not blocking Rowanne. So anything under the brown category, such as Bork, like you could do a Mech Bork or something similar if you want to go down that route. This mostly just has the benefit of having backup resummon, but you can go whatever else you want there for the same purpose. The main core of the team, of course, is Rowanne, which ends up having armor boost ratio similar to Gaard's avatar, and is the way more accessible, cheaper version of doing so. You can end up getting it for free from completing out the Forest of Florence Kingdom if you haven't already. And then Leprechaun, of course, is for the mass mana accumulation, having Empower into a bunch of mana accumulation. And with his +1 green, we will have a +2/+2 into Rowanne. So 4 times or 5 times will end up giving her full mana. Actually, never mind, we don't have 50% mana start, so that actually won't be true. But you will get the Explode to start a battle, so it'll still make it easier to get her to full mana. As, yeah, we can't run Mirage Queen, unfortunately, for the half mana start. For the higher level range, we're going with a pretty standard insta-kill build, hiking Irongut into Catheric, since we do not have access to Zul'Goth underneath the coloration. We do have Mirrorlift here for mana accumulation. Simply running this for the Mass Destroy. Also has some trip damage if they have Barrier or anything similar. So you can end up running that. Has a little bit of red link, which we actually end up subtracting just to have a little bit of a better banner. This in total gives us a +3 green to get Mirrorlift up just a little bit quicker. Even though we're minusing her red, it's still all divisible by 3, so it should still work out pretty well. And we'd ideally want to be prioritizing green there. And of course, speaking of green, we have Leprechaun just for pretty standard mana accumulation to get everything rolling. As far as the lower rarity one, I actually went with a little bit more of a team we don't really show too often. It's a team that later in the game, there's generally more viable ways to do this. For example, hiking Irongut. However, Black Beast does have some pretty interesting implications. It devours an ally, heals back to full, and then creates some skulls based on, or just simply creates 6 skulls. Of course, specifically when you're doing delves, your team is set for the entire delve. So if we were to devour our Leprechaun, we would no longer have our Leprechaun. However, that's not what we're going to be devouring. We're going to be devouring our hero, which can run with any hero weapon. I just happen to use this. You get it from 250 wins on the Pansville hero class of the Oracle. Anyways, oh wait, what's the Oracle? Whatever the one is called from Pansville. What's it called? It's not Oracle. Let's see. What's this name? I actually completely forget what it's called. I think it's like Herald? Bard, that's the one. Looking for something like that. Yeah, Bard. 250 wins on Bard gives that weapon, but you can run anything there. I always happen to be running this for the Enchant, Cleanse, Life, all that. But anyways, we just kill out hero, so now we don't have any hero. So now our whole team is just Black Beast, Angry Mob, and Leprechaun. The Angry Mob will constantly keep summoning more of itself, so your team is now Angry Mob, Black Beast, Angry Mob, Leprechaun going into every fight. This will be your team basically going forward. You could even start it like that if you want to. However, we just happen to put a hero there just for a little bit of value, might as well. But anyways, we will basically have Angry Mob, Black Beast, Angry Mob, Leprechaun. You then go and sacrifice your first slot Angry Mob, which will be a meat shield to get everything rolling, but also the thing that you keep devouring. And then you go back to full mana accumulation, you get another Angry Mob summon. You just keep devouring it out. Every single time you devour it, your Black Beast is now your first slot, and you just keep gaining more life, you just keep gaining more attack, and you just keep killing everything by chipping them down. And then we have Leprechaun here, just for the starting mana as you normally would. However, you could opt for a cleanser or something. It will be a little bit slower, but it would make sure that you don't get entangled on him, which could be a little bit of a liability. But if you want to do that, you can end up going down the Beatrix route and just end up adding a Beatrix here, which will also mana accumulate for brown, and luckily is not blocked on one of its colors of blue. So you can end up doing that if you feel like you end up needing cleanse more so than the starting mana. And speaking of Beatrix, as far as Purifaction is concerned, there are 2 ways that we can end up running this. We can either go Scarab Knight into Triple Queen Beatrix, which is the safer route, or we can go Deep Horn Beetle into Triple Queen Beatrix, which is the slightly riskier but slightly quicker route. And if you really wanted to go for it, you can also go for 4 Beatrix, just in case 3 isn't enough. But this is the safest way you can go about it. Scarab Knight, actually technically safest is double up on Scarab Knight in case the first one dies. If you feel like you have really low stats, that might be a way to go. You could go double Scarab Knight, double Queen Beatrix, or if you really want to, even mix and match, put both the 2 tanks in there. A couple different ways, but this is generally the way you'd want to go about it. Triple Queen Beatrix to maximize out on your damage output. You have Cleanse, so you don't need to worry about any kind of Entangle or anything else. You have really high score reduction with both 50% on there and Barrier and more durability gain. So overall, pretty safe. And then we just set the banner all in on both Queen Beatrix and on the Scarab Knight, setting into green, and she does create a lot of green. You could technically set it into green-brown, but it is better just to double up on Beatrix's mana, particularly on green, because once you start looping it, this is the main way she's getting her mana back. and you definitely at least want to make sure you go double green. The other +1 really just depends on if you want to put it into blue or into brown, and that's really just based on the situation. But personally, I would go into blue just to get Beatrix looping even more, just in case you run out of green and need another way to get her mana up just a little bit quicker. But anyways, guys, that's a full rundown on the Deep Hive as of all of the new updates. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. All the teams that we just went over are in the description if you want to go and copy paste any of them. Best of luck on the Deep Hive faction. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.